morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning Mind the Moment session brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. Those of you that have joined us before know that this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, very delighted as always to be here with Zeenat Potia, mindfulness instructor with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. Good morning, Zeenat.
Good morning, Suzanne, and welcome everyone. It's good to see you and to be with you.
Yeah, so nice to have everyone here this morning and to practice together. And if anybody's new this morning, a special welcome to you. And if you're new to meditation or to any of these sessions, just no worries at all. We'll guide you through everything that we're doing this morning. So today we typically start off with a question for the group, and Zeenat will offer that this morning and share some thoughts with us. And then we'll have time for about a 12-ish minute guided practice. And after that, we'll have time for questions and a little bit of chatting through the chat on Zoom. So if you can go down to the bottom of your screen and open up the chat, and then just click on the blue drop-down menu to click on everyone, and that will give you a chance to see all the comments coming in as people type them. So, Zeenat, what question are you going to pose for the group this morning?
Thank you for the invitation. I like to offer prompts and teachings based on what's alive in my own practice, and also contextually what's going on around us, what's alive around us. And so mid-July, in the Northern Hemisphere, a lot of people who are fortunate enough to take trips or little vacations, people like to go somewhere and to relax. And so I would like to offer the theme of travel, and travel both in a meditative context of traveling inwards and travel in the context of going somewhere externally. And so in the chat, inviting you to share if you're planning to take any summer trips externally, to share that joy. And if you're planning to take any inner contemplative trips, to share in the chat as well.
Right. So I am actually currently in upstate New York, just taking a few days off close to a lake and enjoying a little time off. So I can share that. It's been a nice way to get away. So that's what's up with me. And yeah, how about you, Zeenat?
So not at the moment, but I will be going to visit my family in India in August. So that's coming up. Yeah.
How long will you go for?
3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, it's not exact. I wouldn't describe it as a vacation. It's more like a trip. But looking forward to seeing folks I haven't seen in years, in a very long time. So.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, anyone else, just type away if you're, even if you're not taking a trip anywhere, maybe sometimes the most nourishing kinds of, if we have a day or two off, is to be at home in our own spaces, just to not have to worry about going anywhere or coordinating a suitcase or anything like that, but just to take some time.
Yeah, to not be doing any of the planning can be really liberating. And I'm really curious about this idea of traveling inward, to think of meditation and contemplation as a journey that we take, a journey of reflection, of looking at ourselves. And there are so many tools one can use to travel inward. Folks like to journal, having a daily practice, reflecting before, during, and after an action, reflecting on one's relationships, any type of meditation activity that you do is a journey. And the classical teachings from which secular mindfulness is derived, the language that has been used for thousands of years is of being on a path, and walking on a path of contemplation with others. But this idea of a path has this connotation of journey. And my most favorite thing about this metaphor is that we're not practicing to go somewhere, but we're practicing to keep arriving here. It's such a radical notion of how to live one's life. So it seems like people are very quiet this morning. So that's fine. It's fine to honor the energy that's here. So I suggest that we go straight into practice and then see what happens. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, so just a little bit of physical movement before we start, if you wish. It doesn't have to be extreme, but just to do some kind of movement to indicate to the mind, heart, and body that you're going to come into stillness. So I like to rotate my wrists, and you might do whatever you wish. Eyes can be open or closed. Putting both hands behind the neck, and doing a little self massage. Just some attention and tenderness to the physical body. Looking behind, above with the eyes, tuning into the movement, the other side, below. Just once again, establishing your location, establishing where you are. And some people like to shake, whatever feels good. You could even take both this fleshy part of the palm, bring it gently to the eyes, to the jaw, hands down on your heart, and then one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly. This is a practice that was offered by Thich Nhat Hanh. And then we'll do 3 rounds. So one more, second round, eyes, jaw, cheeks, both hands on the heart, and then one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And when you get to each spot, really breathing into that spot. And then the last time, fleshy part of the eyes, the jaw, both hands on the heart, one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly. And then when you feel done with that, letting it go, and then just coming upright, finding an uplift in the spine, shoulders back and down with a nice open torso, relaxed in the head and neck. And if you feel comfortable, gently closing the eyes, or you can practice with a soft gaze. Make sure that the hands are resting somewhere and feet are anchored to the ground. So we establish a foundation, our slate, to begin our journey inward, to look within. The best kind of travel, in my opinion. This is by Henry David Thoreau. Direct your eye right inward, and you'll find 1,000 regions in your mind yet undiscovered. Travel them and be expert in home cosmography. And so let us travel right now to the regions in our mind, heart, and body yet undiscovered, and maybe some familiar places, to see them again with fresh eyes, to know them again with a fresh heart. softening and relaxing into. And this kind of travel is slow, is encouraged, gentle is encouraged. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. But to look with our inner eyes, the eyes of love and care and attention. If the mind wanders off, excuse me, into regions of the past or the future, it's not a problem, but to steady and to pause when you notice that you're elsewhere, and to renew your intention of traveling this path in the present moment. And so whatever tools that aid you to connect and to steady in the here and now. Some folks might work with the breath awareness, or sounds, or sensations, or open blue sky practice, or metta practice, the using the phrases. There are many tools, and depending on the day, the moment, our proclivity for which tool is appropriate changes. And so be flexible and open to exploring what you need right now. For this practice, this journey inward. And like on any trip, there are shiny things that pull us away from what we need to attend to. And so if you keep getting pulled, again, it's not a problem or a character flaw. Just come back and begin again. We begin again. opening to delight and opening to wonder. It's one of the reasons people take trips. Just a few more minutes, a couple of minutes or so, and I'm going to read the quote again by Henry David Thoreau. Direct your eye right inward, and you'll find 1,000 regions in your mind yet undiscovered. Travel them and be expert in home cosmography. In a moment, I'll invite the sound of the bell, and please practice with the sound until you don't hear it anymore. taking your time as you open the eyes and transition back into more relational contact. And please feel free. In fact, I would encourage you to look away from the screen, look around in your environment, taking in shapes and colors, and again, doing a little bit of movement if you wish. I think many of us have been in an extended freeze response through the pandemic, just kind of frozen with activation. And so it's really important to signal to the nervous system and the body that it's safe to move. It's in fact good to move. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Zeenat. It's interesting when you mention about journeying inward and discovering. What came to mind is something that someone had mentioned to me, a friend who's has not really tried meditation, and she would say to me, I just don't want to go I don't want to be quiet with my own thoughts. I'm afraid of what it might be too much, too overwhelming to dive in that way. I'm wondering what you might mention to someone that has that kind of a feeling that negative things that they might encounter.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's a very wise question, and a tender one, because it is true. There are scary places in our mind and hearts, and there can be a reluctance to go there, or to want to be still and quiet, because then there's less external noise. So we have no choice but to look, because it begins to stare us in the face. We don't have to go very far to uncover. And so, just from teachings of trauma-sensitive mindfulness, trauma-informed practice, to know that whatever you do or go, that you're always in choice, that you have agency, and you can know how much to open, and when it gets overwhelming, like the word that your friend used, to then back off. So, a simple example would be many teachers and many practices encourage closing the eyes to practice, and good reason, because again, you're turning the mirror inward. It helps to look within. It reduces external distraction. And so we can start that way. And then if you become flooded with a memory, or sensations get really out of hand or scary, then one can always open the eyes. Once you close the eyes doesn't mean you have to close them the entire time. You have choice. So I want to come back to that phrasing of agency and choice. You can open the eyes and then kind of, locate yourself again. You're not where you were. That was an activation. You can do 5-finger breathing. You can employ the senses with sight, sound, whatever helps you, again, regain some balance. And then you can start again. So we kind of learn how to titrate. We learn how to titrate as open, as much as is tolerable. And then we can, again, care for what our needs are, or pendulate. You open to something, feel a very painful sensation. You don't always have to go to it. You can open to it. If it becomes too much, you can go somewhere else in the body, maybe the fingertips, where there isn't that activation. So to kind of learn, but to know that the journey is worth it. It may not be entirely pleasurable, and it might be perilous, but Lao Tzu said this is it's a well-known thing. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So we can encourage ourselves to just take that single step forward, and to do it skillfully, to do it respecting our reality. So no matter what a teacher is saying, the teacher is not in your heart, mind, and body, but you are.
Yeah, that's very good counsel. Yeah, and to go, and as you were mentioning, is finding that anchor, what we call that anchor of awareness, that if you're going to a place that's uncomfortable, like you mentioned, that you could see how that feels in the body, and just we don't always push it away, but we notice, and we notice how our body reacts, and if it's nourishing, or if it's
Mhm.
something that we need to attend to, or if it's time to go back to the breath, or whatever that focus point is that brings us a little bit more groundedness.
Yeah, yeah, and one simply may not know that these options exist, and so I would also encourage you to talk to somebody. Mention it to a teacher, bring it up, because they're not going to know what kind of inner experience you're having, and so it can be really helpful if you're going to a class where a teacher is accessible and you can ask, and it might help somebody else, or you could ask in confidence. So many ways to work with things like that, but don't suffer in silence. And certainly, we don't want anybody to turn away from the practice because um, it's difficult, or one doesn't know how to work with it. You can get support, is the point I'm trying to make, and
Yeah,
support is available.
yeah, and that's good to mention, and the journey is worth it. Like you said, the next time you sit could be a completely different experience. um, and even where you sit, that could
Mm.
have an impact. So maybe sitting out in nature where you're finding there's a little bit more sensory connection, that could support a more positive feeling.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so wonderful to know those options. So thank you for being with us this morning, Zeenat, and for sharing this practice with us. It's very helpful.
My pleasure, and wishing everyone a great rest of your summer.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to everyone for being here and joining us. And we'll be here the rest of the week. So I'll be here tomorrow, Wednesday, as well as Thursday. So hoping you can join us as well during those other times. So have a good day, and we will see you soon. Thank you again, Zeenat.
Bye.
Bye.